Okay, I'll call you up like right after we get started. Is that all right?
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you did. Yep. All right. All righty. We'll see ya. Yep.
Just simple, just done. So I don't Melissa the satisfaction when we control our passport. This makes more sense to do it the last.
I think it makes more sense to do it after the next, the three new commissions are merged.
Yeah, I'm merged with that.
Well, I mean, you're the only person that said that, so everybody else likes April 30th.
I was like, well,
Yeah.
like his wife. I was like, I know her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
good guys.
Oh yeah.
Hard
I
working,
like
really.
He's real
yeah,
sincere. I really like him.
good.
Real just low key and
Well,
yeah.
if he ever gives you any problems, you can let me know.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll follow whoever makes a motion, and we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. You got everybody here?
If everybody will go ahead and take a seat, we'll get started here in a moment. Call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Norwood,
Here.
Commissioner Ezell,
Here.
Commissioner Waddell,
Here.
Commissioner Stallings,
Here.
Commissioner Funk,
Here.
Mayor Pinkerton.
Here. Okay. Invocation tonight will be Bruce Jackson from Enid First Nazarene. And I'd like to call on Ben. Can you lead us in the pledge? Sure. Okay. Pastor, come forward, please.
Let's quiet our hearts before the Lord tonight and just allow him to speak to our hearts for a moment. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to assemble together this evening. And I say thank you for the freedom to assemble together, to do the work of governing our great city. We pray for the mayor and the council members as they make decisions on our behalf. I pray that you'd give them wisdom and clarity of thought tonight. Father, we pray for those that are homeless, the hurting, the cold, the sick. And Father, I pray especially tonight that you would rid our world of this awful COVID virus. Help us, each of us, to be attentive to the needs of others and help when we can. Thank you for all that you've given and all that you've done. And I thank you for what you're going to do through these great people tonight. And we ask all these things in the strong name of Jesus. Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to you both. All right. Item number 3, minutes. Item 3.1, consider approval of minutes of the regular commission meetings of January 21st, 2021 and February 2nd, 2021.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or corrections? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Norwood.
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell.
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings.
Aye.
Commissioner Funk.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 4, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 4.1, present pet available for adoption at the city's Animal Welfare Department. Come forward, please.
Good evening. Tonight, we have a mixed bulldog. She's a female. We have named her Annie, and she's around 2 years old, and she'll be up for adoption at the city animal shelter. We're in the 1200 block of South 10th, and our hours between Monday and Friday are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. On the weekends, we're open noon till 3. She'd make someone a real nice dog. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, take her on a victory lap.
Is that a dog or a ham? Okay. Item number 4.2, presentation for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Commission. Do we have something there?
On the behalf of the City of Enid and the MLK Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration Commission, we're here tonight to present a scholarship, a check to the Interracial Women's Club. And it's something that we do every year for our youth and those that are going back to college to help advance themselves and to bring increase to our community. And on the behalf of the City of Enid and the Martin Luther King Celebration Commission, we want to present a check of $1,000, a scholarship to some student. And the way this works, I believe they write an essay and we take a look at it and we make a decision on who's going to receive these funds. And $1,000 can go quite a ways when it comes to books and instruments that you might need to be able to fund an education for an individual. I don't know if we have a recipient here tonight or not. I guess we don't. Oh, the mayor. And I also want to say that we have the president here tonight, new president here tonight. And if you would, Brad, please say something and introduce yourself. Thank you for taking that position, man. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right.
My name is Bradley Barrick. Let me just say it's a privilege to get to work with this incredible group of people. I just do what they tell me to do, okay? And so, but it's going to take all of us to promote racial equality, and we're going to continue to push that. And we're doing such a great job, and so we're excited to offer the scholarship as well. Thank you.
All right.
And, at this time, to our commissioners and to the city of Enid, we thank you so much for your loyal support to us. We've come to you and you've never turned us down for anything that we may need. So we appreciate you very much.
All right. Thank you all. Yep. Okay, item number 4.3, his Quilter's Proclamation. I'd like the folks to come forward that are going to receive the proclamation. Pastor Keller, Shirley Sims, and all the rest that are coming forward, please. I'll face them. Okay, I'd like to introduce some folks here that are some of the silent heroes, I think, in our community. When there's a need, they're not looking for anybody to give them credit. They're not looking for a name in a, their name or picture in the paper. They're just doing things because they're the right things to do. There's several examples I can think of recently that were done when COVID first started out and nobody could get any masks anywhere. I mean, the whole supply system worldwide just dried up. They got out all their sewing machines and they started making masks, and they made several thousand masks and gave them away. It wasn't to make money. It was to protect their friends and neighbors. They've also been working for quite a while on providing quilts to cancer patients that are in the hospitals. Not only do they make them, they go present them, they sit down with them, they talk with them. They're a very important part of our community that's not looking for recognition. But if I see somebody that needs some recognition, I can't help myself. I'm sorry. That's part of my job, is to keep my eyes open. So I want to thank all of you for everything you do all the time. And I'd like to read a proclamation. See if I can read and hold a microphone at the same time. All right. Whereas his Quilters, a group of local ladies, has been serving the community as a support agency of Oakwood Christian Church for more than a decade. And whereas they have provided over 2,000 masks to Enid companies, institutions, and individuals since the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas they have made and distributed quilts and assisted fire victims in Western Oklahoma, assisted cancer patients in Enid hospitals, Enid nursing home residents, Oakwood Church youth programs, Mercy House babies, Dresses for Africa Salvation, Dresses for Africa, Salvation Army during Christmas, and provided 50 quilts to the Philippines. And whereas this week, they continued their quilting public service to the community by providing 13 quilts to residents of Mercy House. Now, therefore, the city of Enid would like to recognize his quilters for their longstanding and continuous support of the Enid area and its residents. Their selfless contributions have made a true blessing in our community. I, George C. Pankinen, Mayor of the City of Enid, do hereby proclaim February 18th, 2021 as his Quilters Day. In witness whereof, I have hereunder set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Enid to be affixed on this 18th day of February, 2021. Signed, George C. Pankinen, Mayor of Enid. Thank you so much. Okay, item 5.1, hearings. Conduct a public hearing regarding the Community Development Block Grant, Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, Emergency Funding Allocation Action Plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Yep.
Tonight, we're having the public hearing to get input and views on the coronavirus. We received $307,629 this round. It's called round 3. We have decided to use it the same way we did round 1, which the needs assessment showed that we needed to provide assistance to citizens for shelter, food, utilities, things like that. So.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yep, there
There
you
we
go.
go.
Much better.
I wondered why you were making.
Okay. I have the sign-up sheets. I don't see anybody that has signed up for that, but does anybody wish to address this topic?
I just have a question for Stephanie. Stephanie, for those organizations who have helped engage in this, is there any type of reimbursement to them who have engaged in helping in situations with the COVID-19 pandemic, with this funding here that we have before us?
Sometimes they do project delivery and they will charge a small fee. I know Catholic Charities has not. They just get paid out of their regular budget for administering it. So it's a really great deal.
Okay, thank you.
Any others?
Stephanie, I just wanted to say, I think the direct assistance provided by these two agencies has been wonderful, has been needed, appropriate, and is an appropriate match to the aid that we have approved also for businesses, smaller businesses that have suffered through the pandemic. So I wanted to say kudos for what you and they are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Also, Jumbo Foods stepped in back in March when we were doing all of the planning and assessment on the needs, and CDSA stepped up, Catholic Charities. Those two organizations already do that on a regular basis. So they're the professionals at it. So it was easy to get them to do it. But we appreciate like all the hard work. There was a lot of planning that went into it. So
Also, does some of this funding go to the food bank over on, was it Main and 8th Street?
no, we actually, when we did the assessment with stakeholders, they were contacted and they said, we're getting CARES funding as well. Give it to somebody who can utilize it. So they weren't trying to hoard all of the money. So that was a good thing, but they did give us input on it. Other organizations that benefited from it were our Forgotten Ministries, RSVP, Our Daily Bread, we're going to contribute to them, and Salvation Army.
Okay, so was this dispersed only to organizations or individuals as well?
Organizations, and they go through the vetting process and the application process to make sure that people who receive the funding, they pay the utility company directly. So if they have a water bill, they pay the city or OG&E directly.
That would be quite a workload on you, wouldn't it, if it's just individuals?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So, but CDSA, Catholic Charities, that's what they do, is they do the process, the application, everything for each person who comes in.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Item number 6, administration, item 6.1. Consider approval of an emergency resolution authorizing the mayor to execute grant agreements, contracts, and all other required forms. Did you need something?
Oh, this
Okay.
is my item too. I walked away too soon.
Okay. Related to the CDBG-CV grant award, and approve a substantial and minor amendment to the fiscal 2020 action plan and citizens participation plan for community development block grant, coronavirus aid relief and economic security act CARES program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood.
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell.
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings.
Aye.
Commissioner Funk.
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yep.
We need to have the emergency
Okay.
voted upon. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for emergency. Any discussion? Call for a vote?
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Zell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkerton.
Aye. Okay, item number 6.2. Consider awarding a contract to Johnson Controls Incorporated, Enid, Oklahoma for project number M-2102C, Administration Building HVAC Controls Upgrade in the amount of $107,964, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents. Gerald?
Yes, I'm going to start out talking about this item. And Dana, while I start out doing that, I think there's if you could, actually it's on the agenda. If you could pull up the HVAC dispute chronology, that will help me as I want to inform the commission. And we'll just briefly start out by, we've got an HVAC chiller system, a controller system that we've recently bid out in December, as a matter of fact. This is specifically for the administration building. We typically, as you will see many items on there tonight that go through a public competitive bidding process. That process is governed by state law and by our purchasing finance procedures, but specifically the Public Competitive Bidding Act. And so as part of that, we work up specifications. So I'm going to talk about this. And there is a dispute from a vendor. Jeff Hoop is on the line. So I know he is going to want to visit with you as soon as I finish and try to answer your questions and tell you what his points and concerns are. But I just wanted to tell you that this, essentially we bid this out in about December. And these are some slides here that will help. There's also a chronology. But on or around, I think it was December 2nd, this went out to bids. On about December 9th, and also in your packet, there's the actual specifications you can look at. The specifications are a bunch of stuff about controller systems, but some of the key stuff there is that it needs to be able to integrate with other systems, and specifically the Metasys or Metasys system. And so on or around December the 9th, Automation Integration had asked about a specific question about a Distech part. They are a Distech supplier, and they're an authorized Distech supplier. And so they had asked if something was comparable or not, or equivalent. And I think you guys have actually seen that, because I think you have that email from Jeff. So anyway, and it's also on the agenda. Anyway, we answered that question ultimately on December 22nd with an addendum. Engineering staff analyzed, looking at the bids, looking at the product, and taking into account input from Public Works, determined that the part was not comparable, or that the system was not comparable for several reasons. One was we didn't believe it was fully integratable into the Metasys system. And then I guess the second piece of that, and maybe part of our decision-making on that, was we actually use a Distech system at our new wastewater plant that was built in 2012. And my understanding, and from talking to staff who are actually here tonight, Frank and Tom and Michael Williams, who are responsible for the maintenance of our buildings and working with them. And so as I say that has nothing to do with Automation Integration or Beeline for that matter, because they were not the vendor that actually worked on that product that we worked with. Information. So anyway, the ultimate determination was made that it did not meet the specifications. And so according to the Public Competitive Bidding Act, we're required to take the lowest responsible bid or the lowest one that meets the specifications. We believe we've done that. And so the bid closed on December 29th. And on about December 30th is when I first became aware of the process, and we brought to you what we believe is the lowest bid that meets the specifications. And so that is our duty, but I just wanted you to know, I believe you have two choices tonight, and you get to make, you're the deciders. And you can either award it, you know, after satisfying yourselves that we've done that and asking questions, or you can reject it, and then we'll go back through the process again. Anyway, is there any questions I can answer before I want to turn it over to Jeff and let him tell his side of the story?
Yeah, I mean, my question is, does Mr. and he can answer this as well, but I'm sure you can answer this briefly. Does Mr. Hoop sell services that systems that are not manufactured by Distech?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so if this went out for bid again, if we rebid it, then Mr. Hoop would have the opportunity to bid a system that was not Distech.
Yes, and I would like to address the issue at Distech momentarily, if I could, please.
Well, and I'm happy to. I mean, part of it. I just want to preface it by saying, in general, when our staff is telling us, hey, this system has given us heartburn, I really don't want to. I'm kind of loath to go buy another one.
Right.
Just we've got good staff and good tech staff, and I think that we are well served when we take their advice. But if there is, and so if this was one of those situations where automated integrations sold nothing but Distech, and so if we went it out to put it back out to bid, we would end up with the same thing, then I'm not sure there's a lot of point in going around the process again. But maybe you can address that.
Sure.
Is that the only product you sell?
Well, no, it is not. I would like to speak a little bit about the implementation of Distech at your wastewater treatment plant. And my name is Jeff Haupt. I'm with
Automation Integrated. I'm the owner of the company. We've been in business in Oklahoma for 9.5 years. We have about 46 employees and run 25 service trucks. So we're one of the largest control contractors in Oklahoma. The pricing that you received is pricing based on what we have bid on state contract 1048 AI. That includes Distech pricing. So that's what the basis of your price is. I did reach out to Distech directly about the city of Enid, and we had them search through their customer database, their tech support database, and their software licenses. And they have not had a single tech support call from anyone with regard to the city of Enid. And they also show that there is no software provided by Distech installed. So what it appears is that somehow through your procurement process, someone bought the parts probably out of state and installed them there. And to do that, they tricked the system by not licensing it to the city of Enid. Now, Distech's willing to make that right with you guys, so please don't worry about that. But I think that part of the reason that you've struggled with the Distech product is because it did go through what was not a factory authorized scenario. And that can happen to almost any manufacturer. So I wouldn't say that the Distech product is necessarily your problem. Again, we have other products that we can sell and install equally well. But in this case, the issue, like anything else, is a service and support issue. So, that's my piece on Distech. I have also offered Gerald to send one of my factory trained technicians to Enid for a couple of days to go through the water treatment plant to see what we need to do to get the licensing in City of Enid's name, see what upgrades and problems there are with the system so that you can have a system that's functional. You paid for it, you should get the use of it. And we'd like to help. So the thing that I thought was stark, and the reason that I reached out to the council and city manager is I've been doing this for most of my adult life. And what we bid to you was it's a small air conditioning control system in what is a relatively small building. We priced it like we would for anyone off of state contract numbers and turned that in. We documented that on our bid. Is anyone hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I was having trouble with audio and it dropped in and out a couple of times. So I just wanted to double check. So the price that we gave you is what we would give any of our other state customers. So to be real frank about it, what frustrated me was obviously I don't know what all was included in Johnson Controls bid, but I felt like it bore investigation, because if my number, again, you could procure under state contract 1048 AI, it to me is a fair number that we would make money on. But then to see the disparity in the price, and again, I don't know what is in Johnson's price, but I felt like that because Distech or another Niagara product obviously can do the job. Distech is considered one of the very top products in the country, as is our other product line that could do the job. It seemed like that, again, not knowing the scope, that it at least bore investigation. And then in talking with your staff, we find that there's been a bad experience with Distech. And we do, again, genuinely want to help resolve that for you guys. But it looked like that if what you were wanting to buy was a web-based BACnet protocol, which is part of the technical specs, building automation system, and we were very upfront with everyone at Enid that we're not Metasys. It's just not not who we are. But if you wanted a competitive price for another web-based system so that when your staff needed to look at one of your buildings that has Metasys in it, they would follow hyperlink A in their web browser. They could go look at their Metasys buildings. And if they wanted to look at the administration building, they would follow hyperlink B. And to me, it was obviously in communication, we went all the way through the point of having a bid. There's a PowerPoint that explains all of the twists and turns of that. At this point, I feel like we were treated fairly. There were just some misunderstandings. But then I see more than double our number and comparable systems with the exact same functions of running the exact same equipment. And it seems to me that there's an opportunity there to say, maybe this is one of those times where the procurement process, although everything was done right, resulted in the wrong answer. Let's save the city of Enid the money, maybe procure those services under the state contract, and then use some of the $57,000 in difference in price to fix the water treatment plant. So that's the whole reason that I'm on here, is that it just seems like either there is a big difference in scope that somehow I'm unaware of as being a professional in this industry for years, or there's a difference in, well, there's some kind of a difference for $57,000. I can tell you that. So that was my spiel. If you guys choose to award, that's obviously 100% within your control, but it seems that some bid evaluation needs to happen, at least in my eyes, because $57,000 is not a small amount of money. And we'll stand by our number and deliver a working system that you'll be happy with for I think it was $49,700. And you guys can pocket the difference and fix another building with it and spend it in other places that you need to spend money, not necessarily twice the price for the same system. So, and after that, I'll take any questions that you've got.
Gerald, I mean, so option before us, really realistically award the bid as presented or send it out for rebid. What would the loss of time be if we go through the bid process again?
I'm guessing about 60 days. We would probably look at some minor revisions of the specifications, but I do have a couple of points when I get done answering your questions. So I'm going to say 45 to 60 days to get back to this process. But I do want to say, as we just recently talked about, it's like a Forrest Gump movie. You never know what you're going to get the second time around. And so I would say that. I'm not trying to put fear in anybody, but I do have to say that if we're going to stand up here and question the evaluation of the city on whether something meets the specifications or not, then we're going to start having a lot of these. And I say that respectfully, because I'm also driven by the customer service mandate that I'm getting from you guys. And so what jumps right out at me right away is when I'm evaluating how we need to improve, how other people need to improve and so in this case, our evaluation, we don't believe that it is comparable to a Metasys system. And I respectfully say that, and I think I've told Jeff that directly, and ultimately you guys can make the decision, but we've come to that conclusion based on the fact that we don't believe it uses the same interface. And basically we have been influenced. It's not Jeff's fault. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. Just like when I hear issues about code or something else, I mean, it's not anybody else's fault. It's just what happened. And whether we call the right person or not, in my opinion, really doesn't matter in this case. I've got some people that have been doing this a long time at the city of Enid and haven't been able to get it to work. And maybe we have been talking to the wrong person. As you know, when we hire a general contractor, Wind Construction, they have a subcontractor involved. And there was a subcontractor involved, I believe, out of Wichita. We can track down the number or the name and get into all that if we need to. But for me, the bottom line is, if we're going to question whether it's comparable or not, we're going to have a lot of these conversations, and that's perfectly fine. And we can send it back out to bid. But I think we know what we want, and we don't believe that that product is what we want. But if you think that we need to reevaluate it, we'll certainly look at it. And absolutely, when Jeff talked to me about maybe we didn't have the right person out there, I'm all for after we resolve this situation, because if we start doing this, I don't even know the Johnson Controls guy. He hasn't called me, but I'm thinking he's going to have every right to be calling too. So I just say all this respectfully. We'll do whatever this body tells us to do. But I think what we're telling you is that we believe it has met the specifications. The law requires you to take the lowest bid that meets the specifications. It doesn't talk about you're paying a Cadillac price for a Chevrolet. It doesn't say that. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Right. And I've seen lots and lots and lots and lots of these. Rarely does it occur that one bid is twice the price of the other. I mean, for example, the bids we're going to look at here in a little bit awarded the contract to Henson on the police training facility. It's $1 million, and the range between the bids, it's not a $1 million swing. It's $100,000 swing. So when we have a bid that's that far out of whack, and we have someone who's making, I think, a credible argument that at least it bears looking at. I'm not saying I don't want to award the bid tonight to Mr. Hoop. I don't think that would be appropriate. And if we send it out for bid, I would strongly discourage anyone putting in a bid for another Distech system, because I trust our staff. No offense to Mr. Hoop or anyone else, or to Distech, but I trust our staff. But if there's that big a difference and we're killing not more than 45 or 60 days, and we can send it out for bid, and if we get a bid that's $50,000 for a responsive system, that's a not insignificant amount of money. If you were telling me it'd be 6 months to kill, then it's kind of a different thing, maybe. But
no, we would get it done in this fiscal year, and I don't dispute what you're saying, but I got to be honest with you. I think it will be a bit confusing because we do evaluate. We evaluate things on whether they meet the specs or not, and then we can make decisions about whether things are too far out. And I can't think of a specific example at this moment standing up here, but I know there's been times that we have rejected bids because we thought the high bid was too much. And I can think that we've, I'm trying to think of some specifics, and maybe you guys can think of some where we've been disappointed. So I'm completely fine with looking at the specs, revising them to probably indicate that, from my perspective, the Distech system, based on our experience, is not what we're looking for. So if we need to clarify something, that's fine with me too. But
or sure, we want to clarify that we want a system that's compliant with our existing infrastructure.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I guess in fairness, we have the Johnson Controls guy that probably sounds like he wants to talk to you too. So I don't know if I've answered all your questions.
Well, you started out by telling us that ultimately this is our call. You're kind of putting your thumb on the scale a little bit here on one side.
Well, that's my job as a city manager. So I think that's what you want me to do.
Yeah.
So if the determining factor is whether or not the system is technically acceptable, so I think that's I know, in the federal government, that's the technical term that we use, whether or not it's the equipment is technically acceptable based on whether it can perform or not. If you're going off a previous experience, and the previous experience is that it never worked, which is an issue, because if you did have it installed and at no point in time it worked, there's a problem there with the staff not dealing with the right customer service in order to be able to get it to work, or letting them leave, or paying them for a service that never really worked. If it stopped working at some point in time, I'm curious as what the processes that were in place in order to be able to hold, an installer accountable for systems so there's a whole string of events that have brought you to the determination that the system is not technically acceptable, except for being able to read off certain specifications that'll tell you it's not compatible with the equipment. So that's the part that's confusing for me. And so, without an explanation there, I'm hard pressed in order to be able to say, hey, look, it sounds more like preferential as opposed to not technical. You see what I'm saying?
I do see your concerns, and certainly I've got some staff that could talk to you, maybe answer better those questions as you desire. But I also know we got the Johnson guy on, so this is getting ready to get interesting. So
I'm just going to throw this out there. I want to make a motion to accept the Johnson Controls HVAC as it's been bid.
Second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell. Nay. Commissioner Waddell,
Nay.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried. Motion carries 4-3. Okay. Okay, item 6.3, consider a resolution amending the 2020-2021 police fund budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $1,032,300 to increase the 2020-2021 appropriated amounts for the police.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Okay, item number 7, consent items.
I move to approve everything except 7.6.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Okay, so all items except 7.6 were approved. 7.6. Here's the order that we'll do it. First, I'll read what 7.6 is. Then we have several that have requested to speak to that topic, so we'll hear from them after that. Third, the commission will take any action that's required. So 7.6, continue the December 2nd, 2020 emergency declaration requiring face coverings until April 30th, 2021 at midnight. And again, we'll take comments next. Start with Melissa Crabtree.
Hi, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for your time. I'm hoping, Mayor, since you're bringing this up, including public comment, that you have come with an open mind and haven't made your decision already, actually willing to consider not extending the mandate. I would like to request an amendment extending the date so that if there's were unfortunately adopted, that it is not voted on again by this current council, but after the recently elected cohort is sworn in. So they would be sworn in on May 3rd. And the following business meeting should be May 4th if that goes on as scheduled. So I think that's an important piece to think about, considering we just had an election where the people who got out overwhelmingly spoke to conservative commissioners. Interesting piece of data, if you guys noticed during the financial report, the lowest 2 months of tax revenue and hotel motel tax were both in December and January. So there are people who've on social media that people were coming from Stillwater to Enid on purpose to shop and spend money here. And when we passed the mask mandate, they stopped doing that and started going elsewhere to spend their money. And our financial report shows that. Also, if you look at the data on the OK Health Department site, they included 8 to 10 weeks of mask mandate versus no mask mandate data. I started to print that out for everybody and decided I would just tell you about it. I'm happy to show you where that is. There was no conclusive data at all that mask mandates changed the numbers. And in over half of these reports, the non-mandated cities actually had lower weekly growth. So they did weekly growth for a really long time, and then they did an oversight. And the numbers really were all over the place. There was absolutely no consistency. Last time we did this in December, we had a petition with 1,300 signatures of Garfield County voters asking not to have a mask mandate. And the mask mandate was brought up on a very clear question during the candidate forum a few weeks ago. And the candidates elected by wide margins all spoke that they were not voting for a mask mandate, especially Commissioners Ezell, Waddell, and Commissioner Funk. It's really clear, especially Ezell and Waddell, because you all had conservative and then more liberal or whatever representatives who said yes, they would vote for it and no, they would not. It's very clear that the majority of the constituents in wards 3 and 4 were convicted enough to get out and vote. And it could very well be said that one of the reasons is because they did not want a mask mandate. So I believe the rest of you, I would request that you do well to look at the half of Enid that did come out and vote on that icy, freezing cold day and voted very largely to the group of people who had said that they would not vote for a mask mandate. So I just request your consideration there.
Okay, thank you. Emily Laddick.
I'm here tonight, not in hopes of changing your mind, but to protest your apathetic governance. It's evident that the people of Enid do not want a mask mandate. Mr. Mayor, we submitted a petition with the signatures of 1,300 Garfield County registered voters on December 1st, but you ignored it. And half the city just voted a week ago by overwhelming majorities for candidates who chose to oppose a mask mandate. What's on display for us tonight is your disrespect for the voters of Enid. You and those commissioners who vote to extend this mandate over the will of the people are solely responsible for continuing divisiveness in our beloved town. Now to my Enid neighbors. I confess that I too have been apathetic to my local government. I'm sorry for not paying attention, not doing my own research, and foolishly thinking those in government held the same beliefs I had in the superiority of our Republican system. This past July, many of us realized for the first time just how out of touch our city government truly was. And so in a way, I'm grateful for the public discourse over masks. More than any other issue, it has truly shown that the power in this city is held by we the people. The voters who turned out on February 9th, despite ice and the Arctic temperatures, to cast their vote for freedom-loving candidates. First-time candidates who ran for office and applied for positions on local boards, campaign volunteers who knocked on doors, and donors who put their money where their mouth is, business owners that persevere in terrible economic climates to bring quality product and services to Enid, at times even going without so they could pay their employees, and entrepreneurs who continue with dogged determination to bring new business to Enid despite bureaucratic foot dragging from the city. Enid is blessed to have these great people lead our community. And to the voters in Enid, my sincerest thanks for choosing a new direction for our town.
Okay. Brian Henry.
Well, this is always fun, isn't it? I'm going to do everybody's favorite thing here and quote the Bible. So Psalm 2:10, kings be wise, be warned, rulers of the earth, serve the Lord with fear. I'm somebody that likes to know where words start off, how we got to where we are. And I found this a little interesting. The Greek word hypokrites, which means an actor or a stage player, also has an extended meaning to refer to any person back then that was wearing a figurative mask or pretending to be someone or something they were not. And I find that really fitting for the mandate being discussed again here tonight. A couple of you guys I've spoke to on the side and one-on-one, and you yourselves have told me that you don't even believe in what you're voting on. Whether you believe in the science behind them or not, that doesn't matter. Your personal convictions haven't led you to that. So it seems a little weird that you yourselves would be a hypocrite. If that word sounds familiar, it's because that's where we get the word hypocrite from. I want to take a second, though, to applaud former Commissioner Mason, as well as Commissioners Ezell and Waddell. You men have stuck to your laurels from the beginning of all of this. I actually respect that, even if I disagree with you. I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want this to become a character assault on anyone, but I will say this. When those who I spoke of earlier vote with their conscience, that's leadership. When your vote is influenced by bullies, whether they claim to be medical experts or they're fighting for personal liberties, that's succumbing to peer pressure. At that point, you just gave up the right to call that leadership. Your conscience just became a weather vane. I'd like to quote I'd like to close with a quote from one of our own councilmen on the subject of showing up to make your voice heard. And that's from you, Commissioner Norwood. You said back at a meeting in August that if we don't show up and speak, that silence is consent. Well, when I signed up to speak, I saw the list and I recognized all the names that were on the list at that moment. And I didn't recognize anyone there that would be against this or would be for this mask mandate. So my question to this council is that consent to abolish this mandate? Thank you.
Okay. Neanne Clinton.
Good evening, council. I will start off with a few definitions and then finish with a question for you. Integrity, steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. I have also heard it explained as doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Hypocrisy, behavior that contradicts with one's claims to believe or feel. Hypocrite, a person who acts in a way that goes against what he or she claims to believe or feel. Historically, a man's words and deeds reflect on his reputation. A man with integrity is trusted and respected. A hypocrite may be successful, but he is not trusted. This council passed a mask mandate for the citizens and visitors of Enid, and now you have all stated, before this meeting even began and you heard from the citizens that you represent, that you are planning to vote to extend it. I would like to ask if each of you have adhered to this mandate that you placed upon the people 100% of the time. Have you followed the mandate to the letter? Have you been an example to the community that you were voted on to serve? Have you worn your mask even in places of worship where they are not required because you believe in the almighty mask? If you can say yes to all of these questions, then I would say on the mask issue, you are not a hypocrite. If you answered no to any of these questions and yet you vote to extend this mandate, then you are a hypocrite. Are you doing the right thing even when no one is looking? Do you steadfastly believe that a piece of paper or a piece of cloth will protect every person? If you vote to extend this mandate, then I would encourage all citizens to watch your actions very closely and let others know if you are walking in integrity or if you are a hypocrite not to be trusted. So my question for you as I close is this mandate for me and not for thee, or do you plan to adhere to it 100% of the time and to the letter? Thank you.
Scott Orr.
Evening, gentlemen. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from tonight, but since I'll be sitting in one of those seats here soon, here we are, round 4 of the great Enid mask debacle. And that's exactly what we've turned it into. Guys, this mask mandate is about as worthless as a penny in my pocket. It does no good. It really doesn't. It's not enforceable. We're not enforcing it. None of you guys were out there door knocking for the entire month of January talking to the people of Enid in wards 3, 4, and 6. I was. They don't want it. The majority of the people in Enid do not want the mask mandate. And so I'm going to try to appeal to somebody's common sense. Why do we have it? Is it going to change anything if we extend this mask mandate? I'm curious. Will it change anything? The people who wear masks are still going to continue to wear masks. The people who don't aren't. So why are we here wasting our time and effort on something that's worthless? Jeff, I appeal to you to vote against this. The people of Ward 6 don't want it. And so I'll leave it at that. Again, I just want to appeal to some common sense, folks. It doesn't do any good. It's not going to change anything. Why are we wasting our time and effort? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Whitney Roberts.
Mayor Pankinen, Commissioner Waddell,
fellow future commissioners. Thank you for giving us this chance to speak tonight. I have a question for you. Are you civil servants chosen to represent those in your community? Yes, you have been chosen by your constituents to represent their interest, not yours. As I stated during the forum, I am not a medical professional, but then again, neither are you. It is not the role of the government to control individual behavior. Your intentions may be good, but you have had an adverse effect on our community or lack thereof. Us red shirts have been labeled as selfish. However, we are quite the opposite. It is in fact extremely selfish to force others to do something for your benefit. Some preach on loving thy neighbor. Are you loving your neighbor when you're standing on your self-righteous pedestal and pointing out their perceived flaws? Since name calling and emotions are now facts, I have a few for you. This isn't about a mask. If it were, more people would be wearing them, or you would hear about countless interactions where customers were thrown out for not following city guidelines. I and many others here understand where you're coming from, and we do not wish harm on anyone. We can meet you in the middle. Let people decide for themselves what is best for them. Encourage social distancing, hand washing, vaccinations for those that want them, providing transportation to those vaccination appointments. But by continuing this mask mandate, you have stopped further conversation. You have not considered where we are coming from. You are ignoring the vast majority of those that elected you. You say you are doing this for the common good, but in order for something to be for the common good, it needs to be nonpartisan and it should not privilege the interest of some at the expense of others. We are not anti-masks. We are anti-mandate. Thank you.
Nick Calaberti.
I've been here 4 times. You've never said my name right.
I'm sorry. I have
Celeberti. Can I say that for me, please?
What is it?
Say Celeberti for me, please.
Soberti?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with some questions, and the city manager wants to participate, it'd be great. I'm going to list off a set of healthcare providers that you've talked to make this decision on masks. And if you don't want to participate, that's okay, but I just want to know. How many of you all consulted a medical doctor on this situation on masks? No participation. Nurse, surgeon. So, I mean, chiropractor, acupuncturist, personal trainer, nutritionist, naturopathic doctor. So why is it that none of you want to tell us who you get your information from when you're making a decision like this? That was revealed that we lost a lot of money in December and January because we had a mask mandate that was implemented, it seems like, with no consultation of anybody based off of what I just asked. And that's alarming because there's a lot of people that live here that want to live and not be told what to do. And right now, from my further research of not just the health end, but the economic end, is I dare you all to look up Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Pfizer. Last year, they've made billions of dollars off this little experiment. And masks were the start. And we feel, personally me, is that if you're at a position like this, you need to share where you're getting your information from so we can actually have a discussion. Because I don't feel like any of you, after I asked my series of questions, you guys didn't participate. I think we all would like to know where you get it. And there's a lot of kids, a lot of people that are getting affected because of this. And so my question is if you really say that you care about us, is you need to talk to both sides of the fence. Because Western medicine sees the body from outside in, and the Eastern side sees it from the inside out. Because I guarantee if you talk to a chiropractor, acupuncturist, naturopathic doctor, nutritionist, or personal trainer, they will have a completely different opinion than the medical profession.
And right now, I do not feel comfortable with St. Mary's and Integris Baptist. I don't know how much money they've made off this thing. They have full hospitals. They're probably making about $5,000 a day per bed. And that's taxpayer money, it's insurance money. That's coming out of our pockets. I mean, right now, CVS, you go there right now, it's gonna cost you, if I want to pay cash for a COVID test, it's gonna cost me $139. Now, if they bill insurance, they're probably gonna make $300 per test. And right now, you all have to make some decisions in regards to that. Because I don't feel comfortable with my tax dollars going to an organization like St. Mary's or Integris without any sort of supervision. Because right now, they've just been collecting money for the last 18 months, and we have no idea how much they brought in. Well, there's been several businesses that have been shut down because of their opinions. And a lot of people don't realize that. But right now, it's about truth. And there hasn't been very much truth in regards to the masks because there's no money to be made and products that aren't patented. Don't you find it odd, like all these masks were ready to go when it all came out? How many companies were ready for masks? I mean, even some of the restaurants were designed a couple of years ago for this kind of a situation. This isn't a pandemic, it's a plandemic. It's pretty obvious. I think you all need to consider that, again, if get rid of the mask mandate, we're going to be very special in the United States. I have friends in mine from New York, California, Minnesota that I'm like, yeah, we don't deal with any of this. They're jealous because we can actually have a life. And we have health choice. That's our choice. We shouldn't be told what to do.
Okay, sir, go ahead and wrap it up. You done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion that we extend the emergency declaration requiring face coverings till April 30th, 2021 at midnight as it is written.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion from the commission?
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple things. "69 people in Garfield County have died from COVID. That's 113 people per 100,000 population. It's the statistical measure that's used in a lot of public health data. As a whole, Oklahoma's rate is 103 per 100,000. So Garfield County, 113, Oklahoma, 103. Oklahoma County, which had a mandate in July of last year, has a rate of 85. Lower is better. Cleveland County, also implemented in July, has a rate of 89. A statewide mandate would have been better than punting this to cities. Maine implemented theirs in April. They today have a rate of 49 per 100,000. But even in other states where there's been more of a patchwork, like we've had in Oklahoma, mandates have worked. Sedgwick County, Wichita, passed their mandate in July. Their rate today is 88, while the entire state of Kansas is 155. We're talking about deaths, remember. Santa Fe, New Mexico passed theirs in June. Their rate's 86. New Mexico as a whole is 170. My point is this: public health expertise matters. And moreover, leadership matters, even at our level. Governor Stitt failed us by abrogating his responsibility to act in best interest of all of Oklahomans, and we failed Enid. The Stillwater City Council unanimously passed their mandate in July of last year, despite vehement opposition from some members of the public, and even over opposition from their police department. Today, their rate per 100,000, this is Stillwater, their rate per 100,000 is 56. We are, remember, 113. If we had acted early, if we had listened to the experts and shown leadership, our rate could be lower. If we had done as well as Stillwater, not as well as Maine, not as well, we're Stillwater. If we had done as well as Stillwater, 35 people in Garfield County would still be alive. 35 of our friends and neighbors would still be with us. That's simple statistics. To the newly elected members of the city council, the three of you, you're all going to have to make tough decisions. I implore you to be guided by expertise, not extremists. When you weigh two uncertainties, err on the side of caution. Do what you can to take care of this community that we all love. This job is hard, and it's thankless, and it's time consuming. But it's not about doing the popular thing. It's about doing the right thing. It's about using your best judgment and listening to the best expertise information you can get to do the right thing, even if you have some people who are upset about it. This is not, if you chase your tail trying to do what's most popular, you're never going to be able to show real leadership to the community, and we need that. And we need that from all of you. And I implore you to, when you're up here and you have somebody who's spent a career studying something, whether it's our engineers or our accountants or our public health people, please take their advice. You will be better served in the long run. That's all I had. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mayor, I have a comment.
All right.
Mr. Henry. I'm not gonna say the name of the individual, but I respect the fact of this individual that sent me a text message today concerning this topic. I won't say the individual's name, but I will say what I said. I hope that all is well. Yes, ma'am, I do take data in consideration. My position on the mask mandate previously was based on data. I voted against the mask mandate the first time. And for the mask mandate the second time, I voted for it based on the data. The data is the tool that I use to make my decisions. You as my constituent is at the forefront of my mind whenever I make any decision. Truly, Derwin.
Any others?
I'm not done, Mayor. I kept my word. I told everyone that I would vote depending on what we see going on. I kept my word. I'm a man of my word. So the numbers are not going down. People are still, they're going overall. Yeah, the numbers are going down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. The numbers are going down, truly. But people are still dying. People are still dying. People are still dying. Also, I want to say, I applaud you all with all sincerity. I've never seen nothing like it. I learned something from you. But there are also individuals who have different opinions, and they're not here because they don't feel safe to be here, and they could fill this room up. And one thing I do hope, as great of a community that we do have in Enid, Oklahoma, I hope that we do not allow politics or money to divide us as a city in Enid. Our nation is suffering. But here in Enid, Oklahoma, I believe each and every one of these councilmen, even the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, this is not easy for us. We receive it both ways. In this situation, I have found out who some of my friends are and some who were not behind a situation like this. And I looked at, as you all were speaking, I want to bring something out. I'm going to read. Just be patient with me for a second. I want to read something on the enforcement of this mask mandate. In section 3, it says, I quote, face coverings required. Every person shall wear a face covering consistent with CDC guidelines in any indoor location. This requirement does not apply to Vance Air Force Base, Garfield County Courthouse, school buildings, religious institutions, hospitals, and other medical residential facilities. When you read that, where is the enforcement? Where is the enforcement? Because it says, these are the places that we go. These are the places that we use, only ones, and half of our businesses in town, they don't enforce this mandate. These mandates are not enforced in this town by most of our local businesses. Even when you go to a restaurant to go sit down, you walk in there, you got to take it off in order to go eat. And I will tell you, I am one. I don't like the way it feels, but I use it because I'm a representative of this council, and I voted for it because I didn't want to feel like a hypocrite. So I do it because I voted for it. And there has been a time or two that I've forgotten to put it on. And I'd go back to my vehicle, put it on, and go back into wherever I want to go out of respect and out of being a man of my word. Please, let's not allow this to divide us. Because really, this mandate, guys, just like you said, Mr. Orr, it's not really enforced. Why are we angry? Why are we upset? Why are we being divided? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. No one can force anyone to do anything. For one, you're not being ticketed. I just don't understand, guys. What's the problem? It shouldn't even be one. It's not even being enforced at all, honestly, because you can go in any business around town and you can go in there and spend your money and no one's going to say anything to you. And if it is, I don't know about it. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard of such a thing. It's just all about being responsible. We just got to be responsible. But please don't let something like this divide us. That's all I ask.
Thank you. Any others?
Mr. Mayor, I was not here when we voted for the ordinance originally, but I wanted to address it now. It's not popular, but extending the city's public health rules another 2 months is both justified and reasonable. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully it peaked last month. But masks can be effective protection when used. Plus, what we're talking about this evening is consistent with what Governor Kevin Stitt issued as an executive order this past week, extending the statewide COVID emergency, much as what we are talking about doing here this evening. And that statewide emergency, Stitt's executive order, included a broad mask mandate for people on state property, indoors or outdoors, where social distancing is not possible. Now, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think 2 months from now, we are going to be in a much healthier situation. for now, we need to keep the mask requirements in place, just as you have mask mandates in local schools, local hospitals, Vance Air Force Base, state government, federal government, and many local businesses. I understand that this isn't going to ensure complete compliance, but let me give the example of speed zones, school speed zones. Not everybody is slowing down to the required 20 miles an hour to go through the school zones. But because those school zones are in place in the 16 locations around our community, most of the people, most of the time, are trying to do the right thing and adhere to a speed limit. That is keeping people safer. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. Thanks.
Any others? December 2nd, 2020 emergency declaration requiring face coverings until April 30th, 2021 at midnight. So I'll call for the vote.
Real quick, is that, because the question was asked to me, is that midnight at the end of the 30th, midnight at the beginning of the 30th? Our last ordinance ran through 11:59 p.m., so it was clear. And the pesky newspaper reporter asked me if that meant at the beginning of the 30th or at the end of the 30th. Carol, the end of the 30th? So our legal experts telling us that midnight means the end of the 30th, not the beginning of the 30th. Okay,
Yes.
great. That's for the newspaper. You're welcome, Alex.
Okay. All right, call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
No.
Aye.
Commissioner Funk was aye, and Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Motion carries 6-1. Item number 8, will recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item number 9, all trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority special meeting are in attendance. Item number 10, Enid Municipal Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 10.1, approval of claims in the amount of $166,215.49.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings, Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Item number 11, adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. Item number 12, all trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority special meeting are in attendance. Item number 13, Enid Economic Development Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 13.1, approval of claims in the amount of $379,050.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Item number 14, adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item number 15, all trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority special meeting are in attendance. Item number 16, Enid Public Transportation Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 16.1, approval of claims in the amount of $1,342.86.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Norwood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Waddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stallings,
Aye.
Commissioner Funk,
Aye.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Aye. Item number 17, adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item number 18, public comments. We had one person sign up under this paragraph. Mr. Henry.
Oh, this is awkward. Well, you kind of touched on where I wanted to go with this, about the whole thing being divisive, and I didn't really know what I wanted to say in the first part versus this last one. When you guys passed this actual mask mandate, I had signed up to speak, but I was sick. And so my wife had actually had to come and speak for me, which was really cool. If you guys knew her, that's not her lane at all. She's much more the one that likes to stay at home and not talk to anybody but the kids. Yeah, anyways, my wife, Jennifer, is awesome. Side note, next month, 5 wonderful years together with her. So she's learned to put up with me, putting her up to things like coming out and speaking in public. However, I did ask her, though, not to mention that I was at home ill because I knew of all the ugly comments it was going to bring on. And sure enough, this Facebook comment, like I'm sure it did tonight when we started speaking and had the engagement, filled up with lots of ugly comments. And man, people, they're like sharks in the water when they smell blood on this stuff, man. And keyboard warriors, they like to light this stuff up. You know, I hate this. I hope you know that. We hate this. We hate what this topic has done to this town. We don't like this any more than you guys do. This is not something that we go out and we celebrate. It's not. Like when we leave here, there's times where we go and we actually feel a little bit defeated. We feel a little deflated. We don't like this. You guys are our neighbors. We see you guys at the grocery store. We see all you guys at the grocery store. And to be quite honest with you, whenever my wife said this, you know, red means stop. We're tired of talking about this. We mean it. We are. That's why we asked. Extend it out. Let's push this thing further on down the road until we know that, hey, maybe we'll be clearer of this in the summer. So why we move the goalpost a little bit closer, I have no idea. But Ben, you're right. You know, leadership is tough. Sometimes you got to make tough calls. And I don't envy you guys for having to make those decisions, you know? So kudos for you guys for doing that sometimes. Anyone that's listening in the council, I do want you to hear our heart, though. You accuse us sometimes of hating our neighbors, while we stand here and openly say it should be your right to decide what you do for you and your family. And, you know, again, if that means you want to hand freedoms away and wear masks, and I don't mean that as an assault, but if that's what you want to do, then that's your right. Do it. You know, we don't want to beat on anyone. That's not our hearts. That's not our goal. And I just want you guys to know that we have better things to do on Thursday nights than to go up here and argue with you guys. But because our hearts say that, hey, man, we believe in this. It feels like you're coming into our yard and saying, hey, you got to do this. And we're going to put our foot on it until you do what we say. That's where our hearts are. And so when you said something about it's unenforceable, we're not doing this. I believe a woman was arrested at Suddenlink. Now, she went further than where she had to go, but that's my answer to that. So I do know that. Commissioner Ezel, I want to come back to you. One thing that you and I agree on is that everybody should have done the right thing all along. But I think you, as long as you've been doing this, 8 years now, would have to agree, even though you do have to make tough decisions, there comes a time where you also have to listen to the constituents in your ward. And I think you would acknowledge that has been sorely missed over this last year. Now, I'm not saying all, but I myself can say that I have sent emails and never received one back. I just want you guys to know that we're also members and citizens of this town, and we feel like we're ignored. It feels like we're adversaries. It feels like we got to show up here and fight for our rights. You guys know what that feels like. No, you don't, because you get to make the decisions. You guys get to sit here and say, we're going to put our fingers in our ears and not listen to you. That's your right. That's what we come here with. That's why we're frustrated. That's why we voice these things to you, and you guys don't understand it. You act like we're irrational. We get called so many things. Yeah, Ben, you're shaking your head right now. We're not trying to be irrational. Mayor, I know I'm supposed to address the mayor, and I apologize because I know I'm breaking Robert's Rule of Order. I know that. But imagine being told right now in the state of what our country is going through, just everything. Think about the last 6 months of being told you're irrational, stop talking, you're crazy. How does that feel? And then people essentially put their fingers in their ears and say, I'm done listening. Now you apply that to anywhere else in a court of law, anywhere else in your life, and you're going to feel like you just got screwed. I just ask you guys to chew on that a little bit, because when we come up here, we're actually here pouring our hearts out, asking that you guys listen, and that you actually listen, not with your ears, but with your hearts, knowing that we all got to live in this community together. Because at some point, there's going to be another 7 people sitting here that you guys might have to show up and do this exact same thing. And if they treated you that way, man, you'd be really frustrated about it. Matter of fact, here in about 2 months, there's going to be 3 people sitting in different seats that if Ben showed up and he talks to future commissioner, Longbeard, I can't think of his awesome beard. And he just sits there and shakes his head just like Ben is at me right now and doodles the whole meeting right now. You're going to feel highly, highly, highly ignored. And you're going to leave here frustrated. I just ask that you guys.
Would you rather it be an argument?
I would just rather feel listened to.
I mean, because I sit here and I look in the face and I listen actively, unless I'm being actively attacked like that last gentleman who's already gone. But I sit and I actively listen to everything. I've read every single email. As far as responding to it, if you saw some of the stuff that we get from people, I know what's portrayed is that it's this wholesome movement in order to be able to fight for freedom. But maybe I'll send y'all some of the stuff that I've gotten. I don't think it'll move the needle in any way, shape, or form, quite frankly, because you can't hold any of these people accountable. And I'm not holding you responsible, but if you want to know why it's so frustrating from this seat, when you say, man, it's this wholesome movement in order to be able to do this, and the attacks that not just I've gotten, but my family has gotten because of the position that I've taken. Right. There's more at stake just than what it is that you want to present here. And I mean, again, and you can sit there and shake your head like he's talking, like you just accused him of doing, but it's the reality of the situation. And if you know, I can be quiet, but to me, it sounded like you were asking a question.
Right.
And so I'll be quiet. If you don't want me to respond, I'll be quiet.
No, you're fine. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I get the shaking head, so I'm just going to be quiet.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate the comment. I want you to know that. I do.
Okay. Thank you for coming forward. And I can assure you, we all do listen. We're not done. Public comments is over. I just want to say we do hear. Just because we don't rule in the way that you want us to doesn't mean we didn't hear the message.
Okay.
It means we disagree with the message, which is totally different. So thank you all for coming tonight. We stand adjourned.